Hello, I'm John Callebert. I'm from Monmouth College, and I'm a history major with a minor in classics anthropology. It's kind of important to my speech. Like a lot of students, studying abroad was something new and enlightening for me. It was my first time doing a lot of things. It was my first time in a country where English was not spoken. It was my first time on a plane, which was kind of nerve-wracking. It was my first time traveling by myself, which took some getting used to. Eating real gelato, which is delicious, by the way. Having good red wine, which you miss in America. Taking a serious art class. I never really had taken an art class with real male models and plumb lines and walking back, and a guy who walks up and looks at you and he's like, this is all wrong, but you can't fix it, so whatever. And finally, it was my first real foray into photography. Photography, I feel, was important for my trip because before going to Italy, I had a basic knowledge of photography at best. I knew how to point and click, and that's about it. And like most of my early pictures were pretty bad. They're out of focus, overexposed. I would like take a picture into the sun and go, why can't I see anything? Or I would just be shaking so bad that you would look at the picture and go, wow, that doesn't look like a church, that looks like abstract art. So, over time, when I was in Italy, I took a lot of pictures, over 5,000, which always amazes people. I don't know why. I was just like, I took pictures of everything I saw, and that's about it. And so, I got a lot better. And some of my pictures, I would even surprise me. Like some of these up here, I would look at them and go, wow, I took that. That actually looks good, professional. And most of my pictures were of something historical. As a history major, that's what I wanted to see. I traveled a lot, went around Italy, went around Europe, and looked at historical buildings, mostly medieval stuff, the churches and such. And that's something that amazed me about Europe, was how history was everywhere. You walk down the street, and the very street you walked down was walked down by the Romans, or the philosophers and the humanists and the artists of the Renaissance, some of the greats. You walk past the Duomo, and you go, that's where Giuliano de' Medici was stabbed during the Pazzi conspiracy, or Palazzo Vecchio, where Savonarola would give his hell and brimstone speeches, and where he was burned at the burn fort. Much like photography, my experiences with Italian culture and language was something that was both new and could be pretty shaky. Italian culture I thought would be very similar to America, and it kind of surprised me that it was different. One thing that really amazed me about Italian culture was how relaxed everything was. People really didn't care about being on time or going places. They would just like close up their shop, walk down, and talk to a shopkeeper down a little bit. And you're like, okay, so when are you coming back? And then there would just be a grate, and you're like, okay, I want to go in the shop, but there's no one here. Or they would just like, my Italian teacher would walk in like 20 minutes late, and he would just be like, oh, I'm on time. So, and like walking in the streets, the traffic, it took some getting used to. I almost got hit many times. The traffic laws seemed more like a kind of something that you could ignore. It wasn't law, more something just there. They would just go through stoplights, and then you would just be walking and someone would zip by. I mean, before going, I was told just put your eyes down and walk into the street, and they would get out of the way for you. So that's exactly what I did. When you get back to America, though, and you try to do that, you almost get hit. And also coffee. I love coffee now. I really never had coffee before then. But I had coffee every single morning, and then I would get tired midday, and you'd see a bar and walk in and just go and get a cafe macchiato or a cappuccino for a little pick-me-up. That's something we don't have in America, and I really miss it. I drink coffee constantly now. Also, the food was amazing. My host mom would cook us varieties of kinds of food. We would have Italian dishes, we would have foreign dishes, Middle Eastern dishes, but they would eat at like 7 or 8, and that took some getting used to. I would get hungry about 3 or 4 and sit in my room, my stomach rumbling on my computer going, it's just a couple more hours, it's just a couple more hours, and just waiting in pain. And then I come back and we eat dinner usually at 4:30 at my school with my friends, and I was just not hungry at 4:30. I would go in and just like, I don't want to eat anything right now. I want to wait till 8. And then at 8 I'll be starving. Finally, Italy taught me something. Italy taught me self-reliance. I traveled by myself, which is something I never did before. I would do it almost every weekend. I would travel, and I would plan out these complex trips, and I would plan them out for my friends. I mean, it didn't always go well. There was one time when we went to Monmouth, we got stuck in the streets at midnight, and there was nothing open really, so we ended up sleeping in bus stops, and it was cold and raining, and we were just like, oh, geez, we're not going to ever go this late to a city ever again. And we made sure that whenever we went to a new place, we made sure we had a hotel to go to. We knew where we were going, and we knew that we weren't getting there so late, everything was closed. Also, just the language itself. I never really had, language has always really given me a lot of problems. And I remember the first time I talked to my host mom. It was a combination of Latin and Italian mixed, because I knew Latin. I was using a Latin word here and an Italian word there, and it was just all over the place. And then she eventually figured out what I was trying to say. And then at the very end, I remember talking to the taxi driver going to the airport, and I was able to have a full conversation with him. I talked about where I went, what I wanted to do. I talked about where he was from, how he grew up, and it was a very enlightening experience. I feel also that Italy taught me what I want to do for my future. After going to Italy, I've decided that I want to go into medieval studies, focusing on Italy in grad school. I'll probably apply next year. And also I've taken up an independent research on Italy. You're talking about the popular governments in the 1200s through 1400s and how they utilized space and comparing it to the Soviets' use of space in foreign countries. Overall, I feel that my experience in Italy was very enlightening and life-changing. I feel that I've grown immensely as an individual, and I feel that I'm not the same person I did before. I mean, I probably wouldn't be able to come up here and do this speech if I didn't go to Italy. I would be shaking or nervous or not be able to talk or get lost, which I kind of did. But I don't know. It's an experience that's once in a lifetime. And I always tell people, you have to go. It's life-changing, and I cannot wait to go back. That's it.